Hey everyone, I'm John from Chaotic Commander,
And I'm Brian.
also from Chaotic Commander, and welcome to episode 2 of Commander Chats. So today we are going to be talking about some hated Magic the Gathering cards in Commander. So we've all got cards that we hate. There are cards that the community themselves hate to see in games. We're just gonna go over some of our picks. So Brian, we were just talking about your picks, so why don't we go ahead?
Yeah, this one's still fresh for me. My friend group actually just banned extra turn spells, and really specifically the one I want to talk about is Nexus of Fate. Oh man, this card, especially because you get to use it over and over and over again as long as you have access to it, because it keeps shuffling back into your decks. The ones that don't exile themselves, and you can recast them from your graveyard if you have those kind of spells in your deck, are annoying. Especially if you're not ending the game with these extra turns, you're just using it for pure value. It just makes the game slog on for even longer, and it's just unfun because sure, you get to play the game, and I get the appeal of you get to play the game more, but your opponents don't get to play the game as much. So it's definitely frustrating to deal with. And even the ones that exile themselves, you know what? They're banned too in my group. So
Yeah,
pretty much, yeah.
I definitely understand the hate. There's nothing quite the same as having your next turn planned out and then the person drops an extra spell turn, and you're right, it just slows the game down. And then especially repeatable ones, I think it's too easy to break. I haven't seen this a lot in real life games except for like a couple of times, but like on Arena especially, it's notorious.
Oh, yeah.
It's so bad. People take like 8 extra turns and then like somehow give it Storm. Like, are you kidding? Like,
And the more commanders they print, the more, that can really bust this one wide open. Narset Enlightened Master is a card that's been able to break this card in half. Calamax, a Stormsire, Yannette, who can cast stuff for free, makes these extra turn spells just really, really strong. And at that point, it's just, you need to make a decision with your play group, and that's sort of what I did recently with mine, because we had a guy using the new Melik from the Murders at Karlov Manor, and he would just cast these extra turn spells for little mana and continue to just draw cards every turn, and it was just a lot. So
yeah, looping them. I don't know. I understand people. You could do really cool things with it, but like, from someone who plays a lot of games, and I want my games to be enjoyable to watch as well, not just play in, it takes a lot of the fun out of it when one person gets like 5-10 minutes of just doing stuff, and no one can really do anything about it because they weren't expecting like a couple extra turn spells in the middle of a game. That's why I like to keep it casual, but they still sneak in every now and then.
Yeah, and it's not even fun if you're playing against it, like I said, and you'll see it with some of the other cards on my list. If you ever wants to play the game, and if you're making it so other players can't play the game, it's a lot less fun overall.
Yeah, I am notorious for slowing the game down, but
Oh yeah,
I've
not what your next pick says about you.
Yeah, I've got my pick. My first pick is gonna be Turgid. So, like I said, I play Grave Pact in some decks. I like to kill your stuff, but I think when you play more of other people's decks than they get to play, it's kind of not fun for anyone. Like, I play, Aclazotz for discarding stuff, but I don't get anything unless it's land. But not if I was playing Turgid, Turgid. It's just so easy. A 5-mana commander that just ruins people's day. Black has so many ways to force people to discard, force people to sack things. Like, you have so many cheap creatures, like the new one from, Modern Horizons 3? The 2-drop that makes you sacrifice, and it's a non-token creature.
Non-token.
So that's notorious. And then you've got Demon's Disciple, it's a 3-drop that does something similar. Sheoldred's Edict, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many cards, and there's like Thoughtseize, especially in Commander. There's like duress, Thoughtseize, so many cheap, easy ways to get opponents to discard stuff, and Target's just not fun. It's really easy to see why this card is so hated in Commander.
Yeah, this card is really just a payoff for those cards that are already incredibly disruptive for your opponents, right? So it's just making something that's unfun even less fun, because now you're getting rewarded for choosing to do these things that a lot of times can frustrate your opponents. Like the discarding's not as big of a deal, but when you're forcing players to sacrifice their creatures, their permanents that they have, making so that you get them is pretty heartbreaking. I don't think the hate for this card is as much with stealing your opponent's deck and playing it with them. I think it's more that any deck that has Turgid as the commander is going to be annoying to deal with, and is going to always punish you because it wants to punish everybody at the table. It's not like they can choose one person to go after. That this is going to happen to you. So that's part of the reason I would agree with you and say this is really annoying card.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand. It's just not fun. It's Commander socially, you want to have fun. Target's definitely a way to put a cap on that fun. At least for the other 3 people at the table.
Well, yeah, I mean, you were also talking about before the video, Torment of Hellfire being an annoying card as well. Do you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. We could go into Torment of Hellfire. So, Torment of Hellfire is an amazing game ender, but sometimes people will cast it and not in the game. So, it just slows everybody down. You have to sacrifice things or lose a lot of life. And it just slows things down if it's like X is 3 or 4, and it could, if all you've got is lands out, that puts you turns behind your opponent who cast it, and it's what is it? It's like 3 life, right? I don't have it pulled up, so I don't know how much.
Yeah, it's 3 life unless that player sacrifices a permanent or discards a card. So honestly, great in a Turgid deck, right? But
right.
I would say that, Torment of Hailfire is... I don't actually have a problem with it. I have a friend who uses it, and he always uses it smartly. He uses it too in the game, and I think what you're saying is if people don't know when to use it, or they feel backed on the corner and they feel like they have to use it, or else they're not really impacting the board.
They've got a few mana up, and they need to stay in the game, and they could only have a couple mana to throw at it to try to... But I mean, I guess in that situation, that's also kind of fine. I personally I've only ever seen this card win games, but I did ask people on Blue Sky and Twitter, and this is one of the cards that was brought up with, an explanation that I thought was pretty solid and I kind of agreed with. And what is that? The new Capenna commander that copies it by copy spells by sacking creatures.
Anhelo, the painter?
Yes. I lost the game to Torment of Hellfire because someone sacked a couple creatures and copied it like 3 times where X was 8. And
that's really strong.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool way to end the game. But
I can see the side of it to where if you're like, the runt of the litter, to say, like, if you're already behind and you want to catch back up, this card is essentially going to hurt you, because if you're behind, you're usually probably getting picked on, getting attacked. You don't have a ton of permanents on the board. You don't have a ton of cards in hand, maybe. So I could understand why you might hate this card. But to me, I don't think it's as big of an issue as some of the other ones we've listed.
Tying back into the Torment of Hellfire when it doesn't win the game, cards like Farewell, just cards that reset the game. There are a lot of these...
talking about like board wipes in general, or
just like maybe like multimodal board wipes, like Austere Command, Farewell, especially if you can't end the game after you cast them, like it just sets down and it's modal, so you can target players. It's not like a symmetrical thing, because if you have a bunch of artifacts and you decide to go with this and just target creatures, enchantments, and exile graveyard hate. I can understand how this one could be annoying. This card could be hated, seeing it in a game of Commander. Especially if they can't finish the game out within a turn. casting it.
I would say I agree with you. A lot of players don't play board wipes at the right time, or Torment of Hailfire. There's a time you want to play these, and if you're just playing it to save yourself or to get out of a sticky situation, 9 out of 10 times you're still probably going to lose that game. You're just drawing out the inevitable. It sucks because there is that 1 out of 10 time where maybe you can pull it off, can pull the win out, and you're just stalling the board. But I agree. I think when played incorrectly, I might say, or in questionable situations is probably a better way to put it. It can definitely drag the game out and make things a lot more of a slog for everyone.
Right.
And I got a sleeper pick for you here, John. This is another personal trigger for me. It has to be Sunforger. I don't know if you've ever played against any Sunforger decks. Sunforger, if you don't know, a 3-mana equipment. It buffs the creature by 4 attacks or 4 power. And then you can pay a Boros to unattach it, search your library for a red or white instant with mana value 4 or less, cast it for free, and then shuffle your library. Now, it costs 3 to equip, but if you're playing a Sunforger deck, you usually have ways to cheat it onto your creatures, so you're not paying the equip cost. So you just get to pay 2 mana to, get any white or red instant from your deck. And the thing is with equipment decks that runs, like, you either run Sunforger and make it a Sunforger deck, or you don't run Sunforger because it's so valuable to have it.
Card.
Yeah. My friend, same friend with the Malik deck, with the Nexus of Fate. He had a Sir Gwyn, Hero of Ashfield deck, which lets you equip your knights for free. And he also had a bunch of cards like Sigarda's Aid that let him equip at flash speed. And so as soon as he got Sunforger out, it was just, he had Teferi's Protection on stack. He had, Settle the Wreckage on stack to just...
He always had an answer.
There was always an answer, so you always had to get rid of the Commander and the Sunforger. And, if you got rid of the Sunforger, he could just recast it the next turn, get a free equip. So Sunforger, definitely a card where I'm like, this needs to go. If a deck is playing, if I see Sunforger come out, I'm going after you. Like that. That's really what I'm going with.
Dang, it's on site, huh? That's interesting. I personally haven't read into this card, but I have. It does seem like it enables a lot of shenanigans that could be definitely not fun to play against. Like you said, you have instant speed, Teferi's Protection from your deck, or there's so many white cards that just Flare of Solitude, freaking Flawless Maneuver. There's
everything, and they keep printing more and more and more.
Clever Concealment, phasing your stuff out, board wipes. Even there's I guess Armageddon's what, 4 mana, 5?
Yeah, but it has to be instants. It can't be sorceries.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. So I guess that kind of puts a little bit, but
you could do that whatever the one from Thunder Junction instant. That's like the white Cyclonic Rift. Yeah.
Spree.
It's High Noon or whatever it's called. Yeah, the Spree one.
Oh yeah. Well, you would still have to pay the extra cost, right?
You would have to pay the extra cost, but you could do it. That's all I'm saying. You could.
And it would give one of your creatures indestructible too, so you could still keep doing the Sunforger shit.
It is rough if you're behind against the Sunforger deck. And it sucks for the Sunforger player too, right? Because they either play how they want and control the board, or they don't get to play the game, right? If they build their deck around Sunforger. So that's why I think you see it less and less, because it used to be a lot more popular than it is now. But my friend definitely changed it because we would just target him every time now. And so,
But I'm going to flip the script a little bit. I'm going to talk about a card that a lot of people hate, but I don't think it deserves the hate. Talk about Toxrill the Corrosive.
Why don't you think it deserves the hate? That's what I want to know, because I hate this card.
She is a 7 mana card with no protection built in. She can be easily removed if she's in the command zone. You can see it coming from a mile away. Like, it's not I think she's kind of been crept out. Like, people hate it too much that she's not the threat, and like, she has no built-in protection. She could be removed pretty easily. Yes, you could get her back if she's sent to the graveyard, because black is, really good, and she can also send herself to the graveyard with her ability. And she has blue for counter spells, but 7 mana, no built-in protection. It's so slow to kill off everybody's things unless you've got like 100 1/1s or something. But then you were probably the problem before Toxrill came out. So like, you know,
I can see that.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a give and take. Like, Jeweled Lotus is no longer allowed in the format, so getting her out really fast is no longer an issue. Like, you don't have Crypt anymore, no Jeweled Lotus, so you have to use some other rituals to like cheat her out early. And you've got, most of the time, you've got time if you have a board built up before your board's gone. So you have a few turns, and the slime counters don't do anything unless she's on the board or you have the sludge monster out.
Yeah, I would say I hear you, but dies to removal and is a lot of mana I don't think are great arguments for not a problematic creature. Because
being a lot of mana actually stops a lot of great cards from being played. So
that's fair.
Yep, I stand by it.
I can understand that. I would say I'm probably getting PTSD from Toxrill from Arena. Because playing Brawl against Toxrill, when it's a one-on-one situation, a lot more difficult. Also, in a lot of the pods, I feel like I have to play the table police a lot more often than not. So if I don't have removal, usually the other players don't have removal either. So I'm usually, SOL.
Brawl, she's even worse because you only have 2 turns. You know, that like you're not getting all the extra, counters at the end of every other player's turn. So like you have less, your stuff is more likely to survive until your next turn.
I don't know. I think we'll agree to disagree on this one.
She just wants to have her babies and keep them safe. That's all I'm saying. Slug Mama did nothing wrong. All the hate's unwarranted.
It probably is an overhated card, I'll give you that, but it doesn't change the fact that I do hate it. But I do want to move on to my next hated card, and this may be because I don't own it. I do own a lot of really frustratingly good cards, but Deflecting Swat is one that annoys me, which is funny because I run Fierce Guardianship, I run Flawless Maneuver, I run all the other free spells, but Deflecting Swat I don't own, so I don't run it, and it's almost, I think it's more versatile than the Fierce Guardianship because most of the things you're countering are going to be single target removal or like potentially board wipes or something else, but Deflecting Swat can deal with single target removal, it can deal with abilities that target, it can also deal with counter spells, so it's very versatile and very strong card to have in red.
That's an interesting one because I feel like there are other red, obviously there are other cards in red that do the same thing, they just aren't free. But I do think this is, since mono red, doesn't have a whole lot of ways to get around spells and stuff. Like, it doesn't have a bunch of ways to give your stuff indestructible that I know of at instant speed. There's some combat tricks I think that can do it, but not a whole lot. Like, you see that more in white and black. Who hurt you with this?
Yeah, like I said, I think this is more of a one-sided, like, I can't play this, so I'm mad that other people can.
The price dropped a good bit when Masters, but they do need to reprint those cards more often.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a great card, and if I had it, I probably would run it and not complain as much, but because I don't have it, it's kind of the same way.
It's versatile, for sure.
I used to have Cyclonic Rift and Disperse Protection way before my friends did, so I would have that in a lot of my decks, and they wouldn't, and they hated those cards.
I can see.
And I can understand that hate, right? And I feel like that's sort of the same vibe I'm getting here with Deflecting Swat.
Yeah, okay. I can understand someone using it against you and holding a grudge because you can't do the same. But,
do you have another card that you hate?
Yeah, sure. I'll go one more. This one is actually one that I actually do hate, and it's Sheoldred the Apocalypse. I do not like playing against this card.
Okay.
It's a 4-drop with Death Touch, 4/5, pretty big, but for something so cheap. And her effect, just it can end the game if left unchecked. Like I said, it's 4 mana, so you could get this out turn 2 with a ritual. And there are so many cards that like can make you draw. There's so many decks that rely around drawing cards, and this just can shut them down. Like I was gonna build the Niv Mizzet Visionary deck. I just showed the card out like I had my top-down camera on, but I can't play my commander against the Sheoldred deck because I'd die.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's really good, and the thing is that it's cheap. Not the cost of the card, like buying the card is like $80 for some reason still. But
4 mana is really strong for it.
Yeah.
I also wanted to point out you chose like 4 black cards. Do you have anything against that like magic color that like, what's going on there?
Most of the decks that I build are black. And I do put Sheoldred in the 99 of some of those decks. Like Sheoldred can make an appearance. It's not like, but like I feel like as a commander, I kind of don't let people play their Sheoldred decks on stream. There are just a lot of ways to kill someone out of the blue with the Sheoldred deck. There are cards that can force them to draw half their deck, and they lose half their life, or well, all their life, and then some. It's just I don't know. It's not fun to play against, and all the decks seem to be built the same way. So there's no surprises when you're going up against a Sheoldred deck. It's like, oh, they're gonna shut down. Either they're gonna do wheeling or something, or maybe not wheeling. I guess black's not really a wheel color, but like I don't know. I guess that's more like Nekuzar, the Mind Razor.
Well, and even for new players, I can understand why Sheoldred's so hated because, you know, when you're looking up deck guides on how to build great EDH decks, you'll be like, you need lots of card draw in your deck. So, and I think one of the most fun parts about Magic is drawing a bunch of cards and seeing what you get, right? That is part of the fun. It's sort of like a little bit of a lottery gambling system, which is pretty awesome. But Sheoldred makes that not fun because you're taking damage every time you draw a card.
And my brother just got into Magic the Gathering, really, and one of the first things he decided to do was like, hey, I want to build a Sheoldred deck. This card looks awesome. I'm like, dude.
I mean...
he keeps sending me these commanders that... I'm going to go on a little tangent about my brother. He keeps sending me commanders that I'm like, dude, that is going to be miserable to play against. Like,
maybe all the commanders he sends you, that's the next most hated commander cards video.
He's like, oh yeah, the boring Klex that stops them from untapping their lands, that's so cool. Like, yeah.
You're giving me PTSD with that one.
The Praetors are just, they're gross cards. He's like, Elish Norn, it's so sick, dude. I want to build an Elish Norn. I was like, dude, stop.
Sounds like your brother just loves Phyrexians. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, he wants to build powerful decks. He just went off into the deep end. He's like, I want to build the most miserable deck to play against. It's like, all right.
Sometimes, sometimes it's a natural progression. They have to break the rules for them to understand the rules of society. You know what I mean? Like they have to go beyond the realm. They have, where they can't turn back and then realize what they have wrought and understand the damage they've caused, and then the empathy kicks in and they're like, okay, let me reel it back in here.
It's like
some people it takes longer than others.
Why doesn't anyone want to play with me? Like, probably because you only like playing strategies that everyone hates.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Sheoldred, it's just a really annoying card, and it's,
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yeah, it's probably the most predictable card, especially with the art going on in the background.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else? Any other honorable mentions you want to mention?
No, that was pretty much it. I think you touched on the board wipes. We talked about just misusing cards at wrong times. And again, like I said, for me, it's about if the opponents can play the game, because I've definitely been the one who has taken 10-minute turns, and then I realize afterwards I'm like, I feel bad about this win that I just had, taking everyone's time from them. So I want everyone to have fun when I play now. Well, no, I always did, but I'm realizing my mistakes moving forward. So I'm trying to be better, but I'm not perfect, and I'm not gonna, slight anyone for playing these cards. They're gonna learn in their own time, but it's definitely sometimes it's frustrating.
Yeah, like I said, I'm in the same boat. Like, I've been guilty. I played a game on stream the other day. I had a Grave Pact out for most of the game, and it was my Tessa Orzhov Scion deck, so I could sacrifice creatures at instant speed if I wanted to. No one could attack me because I could put a zombie in front of it. I was slowing the game down, but I was at the same time progressing my strategy. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I guess.
Well, it's been a fun episode. Thanks for having me on. Definitely enjoyed talking about some of the most hated cards, and I can't wait to, talk about the next topic.
Yeah, nope, same here. All right, guys. Sorry for rambling. I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a comment down below on a card that you hate that we didn't talk about, and let us know what you think about the cards that we hated. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.